What's up, everybody? My name is Dell. This is Dell on Movies, and thanks for hanging out with me. If you've been here before, thanks for hanging out with me again. And welcome to another episode of Movie Swap. And tonight, my guest is someone a lot of us are familiar with through Instagram, and he has been on several channels. He's been in some of those big round robin type streams. And tonight, we got him here one on one. I'm talking about Grant of Movie Buff Grant. What's going on, Grant?
Not much. How about you?
It's nothing much going on here either. Just ready to rock and roll. Doing all right today?
Yeah, I'm doing pretty much fine.
All right. So let me ask you a question about your movie tastes. And we both picked the same kind of movie tonight. So aside from these kinds of movies, what is something else that you are a really big fan of? What other genre?
To be quite honest, it is family-friendly films. They are easy, just kind of like simple in turns. I think the biggest one for me would absolutely be Shrek, because you can't beat Shrek in different places. It took all levels for me, and I watched it when I was a kid. But at least I am still opening up with many more brands coming into my collection very soon.
Okay. So which one's your favorite Shrek? Is it the original or something different?
If I had to tell you, it's all. It's I can't beat one or another. Otherwise, it would like like a hate of Shrek versus Shrek 2 or Puss in Boots versus Puss in Boots: The Last Wish. I rather prefer saying all of them because it's just absolutely breathtaking to see the iconic franchise returning into a glorious after Puss in Boots did so well in the box office. And we might get a Shrek 5, and we might be getting a Donkey spinoff with Eddie Murphy coming soon. But who knows? I know my taste for the Shrek franchise, and I own mostly every single variant that I have in my collection, including VHS and DVD, completely. So that's why.
Okay. So do you go with the specials too? Like I know they had a was it a Christmas one or I think it was a Halloween one also. And did you and all the different shorts? So you have all those too?
Yeah, the holiday special was called Shrek the Halls, and the other one, the Halloween special, was called Scared Shrekless. I own those DVDs as well. Even if I get like one or two copies, I'm fine for what I get out of them. So
Any idea on the number of all the Shrek things you have?
the first movie, probably around 12 to 13, 12 to 13 copies.
Wow.
And Shrek 2 through 4, 2 copies per. And that doesn't include with the box set. It does not include anything, but with 2 standard copies and just how many box sets? One, two, three, four. 4 box sets total.
Okay.
So I got every single variant except for one. So I already got everything that I need.
You said except for one?
Yeah, it
Which
was
one?
it was called the Shrek trilogy, which came out in 2007 when Shrek the Fair came out on physical media. It was like that and the Shrek trilogy box set, and I was like, gotta get it on eBay soon, or
Okay.
or Amazon Prime Day, which is tomorrow. By the way,
Yeah, it is. It is 11th and 12th, right?
yeah, 11 through the 12th.
Okay. Okay. Um now I'm going to assume that that's your favorite franchise. You have another franchise that you're a big fan of?
Besides Shrek, uh, I'm actually looking at my collection right now. I don't have a favorite franchise as of yet, but I also have a franchise that I want to continue to work on. And many people might know this from KB's live stream channel and Nathan Jones, and that is the Choo Choo. We call it Thomas and Friends. For one, because I want to work on it so dearly, and that's one of the best franchises that I've ever been with my entire life, and I want to continue on working on that.
Okay. Okay. Cool. Cool. And now Shrek is DreamWorks. Now I'm a big fan of the Shrek series. I do love the Shrek series, but I also like How to Train Your Dragon. I really love that franchise. You're a fan of that one?
I do. Well, it is my favorite trilogy out of everybody's opinions on. Who knows? The Spider Verse might be my second trilogy out of the most movies that I get to see when I'm in either film school or somewhere down the line.
Okay, so you're in film school now.
No, I start probably around next year for entertainment.
Okay, okay, cool. Do you have plans on directing or doing something else within film?
Whatever works for me, I am happy with. So anything that involves Broadway or directing or becoming a CEO of a main studio brand, and I'm not choosing Warner Brothers because they are a total. I this is a PG stream. I want everyone to watch this. I rather say they are just complete garbage to me, but they do put out good stuff like the Flintstones and the Big Bang Theory.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, they've got a lot of good stuff, but yeah, behind the scenes, they're a bit of a mess. That I can't argue with that at all. All right, so Grant, let's check and see. We got a few people out here in the chat. Let's see who's here. And Adrian is here first as always. He says, "Hey there, Mr. Cool Dell. What's going on, Adrian?" And right behind Adrian, as usual, Holland Oates says, "Good evening, good evening, Holland.
Howdy.
Howdy, yep." And we got in with the question. Emmett said, well, not a question. He says, "Hey, tomorrow is my birthday. I hope you wish me a happy birthday." And on OG Dell, calls me the OG. That's cool. And happy birthday to you, Emmett. And I have a birthday myself coming up a week from tomorrow. So we're close in birthdays.
I'd rather give you a early happy birthday to myself as well, since I will be busy the throughout the entire week next week. So yeah, happy trails.
Thank you. And we got some more folks just saying hi, back and forth to one another. So let's go ahead and get into the reason why we're here. And you had the hat on, you just took it off, but you had the hat on, and your movie is fitting with the hat. It is a Western. Go ahead and tell the people what movie you had me watch.
All right, so most of you guys may all know I got into the Paramount Western films with they advertised it with the what's it called, Best of the Western collection, and one of those films I watched when I was 13 or 14 years old. Should I have been watching it at a young age? Maybe, since how shotguns were made. But I actually picked up The Sons of Katie Elder. This movie actually centers on the boys' characters as Katie Elder recently passed away at the beginning of the film. Huge spoilers for anyone that has not seen the movie.
That's not a spoiler. That's the plot. Go ahead.
Uh, this uh, this features a lot of characters, including Dean Martin, Errol Holloman, and Michael Harrison Jr., aka the youngest out of the member group. So basically, it's just how do I put this without spoiling this? Uh, it is to pay respects to have the youngest go to school and the other two trying to keep fertilizing with Kate Elders' farm. And this film will actually get you in full tearjerkers because not every single person lives, unfortunately, but thankfully it doesn't have a kid, main actress, but has a baby on its own in the beginning, and thankfully does not die. I just love this film because I watched this film twice. I may not remember the entire movie, but I remember parts I remember the most. So, The Sons of Katie Elder is a must see John Wayne film, and it's one of the best movies out of the Western franchise that he's in.
All right. So just to well, I was about to say you forgot to mention the main star, which is John Wayne, or who is John Wayne. And yeah, just to fill out the plot just a little bit, their mom, all those guys that Grant mentioned are brothers, and their mom has passed away. And John Wayne's character has his name is John actually. He has been out of town for years, and he comes back for the funeral. But there's also someone in town who owns the ranch that is his family owned, and he's afraid of John coming back. So there's a hired gunman involved, and they're not. John is a known gunman himself, so they're uh, really gearing up for his return. And then John doesn't know anything about all of that, so he finds out those things when he gets to town. Before we get back into it, we had a couple people check in, or we had a couple of things. We have Laren. He says, "Hey, Dell and Grant, what's going on, Laren?"
Howdy.
And Laren saying hi to some more folks. Adrian, my birthday was Saturday, just gone. I'm 53 now. Happy birthday, Adrian. And you have a year on me, sir. So a couple of old men hanging out here.
I'm young. I'm very.
It's okay. No need to apologize for that. I wish I was still that young. Laren, if Grant became the CEO of WB, he could turn the whole company around. I agree. So
Uh,
maybe
Depends on which studio that I want to focus more on. Warner Brothers is still garbage to me. But
well, he's saying if you took over, it might be different.
yeah, it might be different. Because I just want to wish that Mattel never even existed with the whole reboot of the Choo Choo on my part. But I just love whatever interests me.
Okay. And Laren says, I'm wondering if Grant has seen Rio Bravo. Have you?
Depends on the studio, mainly because Rio Bravo is kind of like a Warner Brothers type. Then no way I've not seen it. But if I wanted to do it for film school, I will watch that film.
Okay, so you haven't seen it. Okay.
Haven't seen it.
Okay. So Laren, let us know. Is that something we need to watch? Because I haven't seen Rio Bravo either, and I've only seen a handful of John Wayne movies at this point. I'm not sure how many of you've seen, Grant.
My favorite, I've seen three. Uh, Big Jake, my favorite out of all. The Sons of Katie Elder and Rio Lobo, which is
Okay.
absolutely a really good film.
I've seen well, obviously now the Sons of Katie Elder, and I've seen The Searchers is probably my favorite of the ones I've seen.
And,
So
and out of the Western John Waynes, I've seen McClintock and Donovan's Wreath. And that one really got me in a Hawaiian mood after Donovan's Wreath.
okay, I haven't seen that one either. Smirk 88 has popped in and said, "Hey Dell, what's up? Thanks for keeping the streams coming. No problem. Thanks for hanging out with us, man." All right. So let's get back to the Sons of Katie Elder. So we've been talking about John Wayne. So let's go ahead and talk about him some more. What do you think of one, his character, and then second, his performance?
Performance wise, very well done. Dean Martin as well, very well acted as one of the boys. Kind of feels like a mustache type of guy that I'm like, okay, time to get this. and I remember half the parts when I was like 13 or 14 that I remember vaguely, but
Okay.
the main one is the young one, and he's like, we should sell the book, and I'm like, no, we're keeping the book because that moment kind of made me realize he hasn't been into school and wants to sell the book for some dough, but that's not how life works, unfortunately. So they just got the book, and he's still resistant of not going to school until the half of the movie, when he says like, "Oh yeah, I'm going to school," but not the entire way of the beginning of the first half.
Yeah, he's kind of enamored with his older brother and wants to be just like him. He just wants to go out and be a gunfighter, so to speak. And so it sounds like that's the character that you related to most.
Yeah, yeah. The brother of the younger kind of reminds me of that, but John Wayne is the main star that I focused on more of.
Okay. Okay. So for me, for John Wayne, it's his character was great. I really did like his character. I liked for what he was trying to do, even though he was never really someone we would probably call a good guy, like in his overall life. But as far as what's happening in the movie, he's trying to do the right thing the whole way. So I really did appreciate that. As far as his performance goes, I have the same issue I always have with John Wayne, is that he's John Wayne and everything, which is fine. He's just the same person over and over and over, which is, I mean, it works for him. And then there's a lot of actors like that, but that was my one issue with him. I do have a couple of people that popped in here also. James from 20th and 21st is here. He says, hello, Dell and Grant, and everyone. Happy Monday night. And James, since you're just popping in, we're discussing The Sons of Katie Elder, John Wayne movie, John Wayne Western. And Laren says, oh, yeah, Rio Bravo is one of my top five Westerns. It is Warner Brothers. Rio Lobo is basically a remake of it from the same director, Howard Hawks. Okay. And you said you saw Rio Lobo.
Rio Lobo is a CBS 20th Century Fox right before, but I have the Paramount reissue in my shelf that came out in early 2000, and I picked it up on Amazon during 2013 Christmas shopping.
Okay. Cool. Mika's here. She says, hi, everyone. Mika, I need you to check your DMs here. And we got some more back and forth hellos. All right. So what'd you think of Dean Martin in the movie?
This is my first time seeing Dean Martin as a whole character right before the whole Jerry Lewis and Ain't That a Kick in the Head song stuck in my head for
Right.
eternity. Uh, he was actually a really good Western actor. And this is not the only time he has done a Western film like that, because he recently just did Five Card Stud, which is another reissue of the one of the best Westerns film that came out in early 70s. But I'm just keeping cautious because I still haven't seen most of my movies in my collection. And when you brought another movie, which I will mention in a minute, this is my first time watch for that film, and this one I have not seen in years, but I love this film so much.
Okay.
Out of all the performances, it was a really good time to see Dean Martin playing a, besides music actor, as a getting into the Western kick.
All right, so I'm with you. This is the first time I've seen him in something that wasn't either a comedy or a musical, and I was kind of surprised because he actually did, though. He have a lot of the comedic parts of the movie, so the funniest parts of the movies were his, and he was the next oldest brother after John, if I remember correctly, right? He was the second oldest brother. So
Yeah,
yeah, So he did have some serious moments, but a lot of the comedic stuff was his, and there was a twist later in the movie that actually involved him. That was cool. If you could remember back to the first time you saw it, would you were you surprised by that when that happened? And do you remember what I'm talking about?
Yeah, uh, I wasn't surprised, unfortunately, because it was like right before Frozen, all the um all the controversy of being like who's evil of what. This is my first time seeing like the plot twist, and I'm like, this is interesting, but I wasn't like shocked or surprised or anything like that. But it's I think one of my favorite scenes throughout the movie is when they in the well almost to the end of the movie. It's like I'm not gonna spoil it, but it's just the plot twist was actually unfamiliar to me. Some of the things can get simulated within inside of my head, but it's uh, did I see it coming? A little bit since I got into a little bit of Frozen somewhere down the line.
Okay. Okay, that's fair. I didn't really see it coming either. So that was interesting and a bit of a surprise and kept me in the movie because it kind of I wasn't not that I was being taken out of the movie or anything, but it kind of added an extra level for me. It was like, oh, okay, this is cool. So let me really dig in now and see what's happening. We have somebody we hadn't mentioned is that hired gunman is played by George Kennedy. And were you familiar with George Kennedy other than this movie?
No, first time seeing it when I was in 13 or 14, and I watched that movie twice. That since then, and I'm like, I do not know the heck of George Kennedy or the other people since then. I just wanted to watch a movie for a reason, and that was the good performances out of all of those people.
Right. Now, for me, George Kennedy was always he was never the main character in the stuff that I watched. I know he's been the main character in some things, but in the things that I watched, like Cool Hand Luke and some of those airport movies that he was in, and he was never really like just the guy. He was always kind of a side character, and but he's always been great. And even here, he was kind of a side character, but he was a villain. I never really seen him as just a straight up villain either. I think Towering Inferno he was also in, and so I thought he was pretty good at that as well. So I was surprised at how good he did and how menacing he was throughout the movie. So I was really happy to see that. Let me put it that way.
My favorite scene, by the way, spoilers for anyone that has not seen it. There was this guy who was smoke in the store, and basically it'd be like, "Wait, you're not supposed to be smoking over here." Well, Curly did it, and why should he get off? And the guy just went go on full rage. He's like, "You ain't Curly," and
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. That was pretty tough. Um, Now, I was a bit surprised. I didn't realize it was a lot more drama than action. Now, you said you watched this first when you were about 13, 14 years old.
yeah.
How,
I,
how did that sit with you? Because I know at 13 or 14, I was always looking for action. How did that sit with you?
this was kind of like a movement where like time for me to watch some John Wayne movies, and I was my first one being Big Jake, which I knew immediately of where this was going to go. Be like, oh, the villain's gonna die, and usually the villain always dies in a John Wayne movie, except for the shootist, in most of me. But the Sons of Katie Elder was like drama, action, and a little bit of western here and there. It's western action and a little bit of sprinkles of drama being put in there, plus the twists in the film as well.
Right, right. Yeah. So yeah, it was a bit slower than I thought it was gonna be, and it was fine because I thought the relationship between the brothers was really good, was really interesting, and kept me. in the movie. Um, just if you could just talk a little more about just the relationship between the four of them all together and how you felt about them.
In the beginning, they kind of felt like a little bit rough at some patches, especially when I talk about the we keep the book scene, and it was kind of like rough at the first parts, but when they see like a couple of gunmen or some type of murder gang horses, they'd be like, okay, be serious here. Let's let's shoot these sons of milk teas. Uh, it's PG. I want to keep it PG. But yeah, but they just shoot the heck out of the gunmen, and either one, actually one of them, spoilers, dies the other way. The other two with John Wayne's live, which only one person out of the four died. So I'm like, when they come together, it was like a good moment for the Western to, how do I put this? Really good way to get into some type of battle, and
Right.
get some of the action sequences from Sons of Katie Elder into where is this going to end? Which, no spoilers. To the real killer.
Right. And now on the opposite side of that, well, you know what? Before we get to the opposite side of that, let's see. I think we have a few comments here going on. James is looking forward to that Rio Bravo 4K. So yeah, that's coming out on 4K pretty soon. And Mika, my goal is to get more into westerns. That is a definite blind spot for me in regards to film genres. It is for a lot of people these days because there's not that many made anymore. There's few here and there, but not a ton of them. And how people are about watching movies that are pretty old. A lot of people don't do it. And it's the same comment. Sorry about that. Same here, James. So Lauren's looking forward to Rio Bravo 4K. Also, we got some highs going back and forth. And Laren loves Cool Hand Luke. Cool Hand Luke is an excellent movie. If you haven't seen it, Grant, definitely go ahead and try that. Go ahead and give that one a look.
When I look at film school, I'll try to get that one in. If it's on streaming, I don't. But when it comes to physical media brands like Paramount, I will be picking it up.
Okay. I'm not sure who made the movie. I've got it around here somewhere, but I'd have to look for it. Emmett, I can't believe I'm turning 30. I just remember when I was 20. I feel so sad. Well, I hate to tell you this, but you blink your eyes a couple times, you'll be 40. So enjoy 30. Trini is here. What's going on, Trini? Trini, I know if you're just getting in, we're talking right now about the Sons of Katie Elder, starring John Wayne. And I recently purchased The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, Smirk says, and we'll actually discuss. We're not going to talk specifically about that movie, but that movie will come up um, when we talk about the other movie a little bit later. So, all right. So on the opposite side of the brothers, and we talked about George Kennan a little bit, but he's not really the villain. He's hired by somebody at the guy who owns the Elder family ranch. And what did you think of that guy and his character and his performance?
Almost a villain type of character for me. Even though that he's quite a neutral character for the Elder family, he's kind of like a villain of sort asset to me in my own head. Uh, is he a good actor? Heck yeah, he is.
I agree.
But just getting my own inner thoughts in. I'm just saying that the actor did pretty well with his iconic role as the elderly family owner. But just want to get it across that every single character's performance is absolutely well done at that time, but not every role is not perfect, as it was back in the '60s or '70s, and we look back and be like, wow, they did a really good job for some of the westerns that I've seen when I'm 12 through 14.
Okay. Okay. Who is there anybody in particular you were talking about when you said that they weren't perfect?
Not not every not every western actor is absolutely not perfect. I'm talking about the new actor, like this, the youngest out of the elder family.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Dean Martin and John Wayne can actually kill a spotlight. The rest of them are just good in my opinion, but my least actor is the one that has to go to school type of situation.
I'm glad you mentioned that because that is my least favorite performance. Also, I thought he just overdid it sometimes, and you can kind of feel him kind of forcing things. So not that he's terrible, but he's the one guy I was like, I'm not too sure. And I think having someone else, a stronger actor in that role, would have made the movie even better because the whole plot kind of revolved around him, or everything that the brothers did revolved around him. So if they had a stronger actor in that, would have made the movie even better. So yeah, I would definitely agree with that. Now, one performance I really did like was, and I'm trying to look it up here really quick, was the performance of the person who played the young lady who looked after Katie Elder in her final years.
Yeah,
The
she did really well as well. But the main thing for me was John Wayne himself as the main actor. Usually, main actors for me get the spotlight and steal the show.
Mhm.
The woman actor is kind of like the third one, uh,
Okay.
best actor in that film.
Okay. So her name is Martha Heyer. I just looked it up, and she plays Mary Gordon. And for me, I really she gave my favorite performance in the movie. Um, not to take anything away from John Wayne or Dean Martin. I think Dean Martin was really good. I would probably put him second as well, and then John Wayne third. And it's really just because John Wayne is just kind of John Wayne all the time, like I said before. But I thought she was really good, and her character really made the brothers kind of, especially John Wayne, kind of made him think about what he was doing. So I
Sorry,
thought she was well written.
I had to take the cowboy hat off. It's getting hot in here, so
I understand. It looks hot. I understand. So let's take a quick look back in the chat. And Emmett says, "Do you have the Magnificent remake?"
Lionsgate, heck no, because I did mention Dell in the chat because I support the brands that I care about. Paramount's one, Lionsgate may not be one of them because if I check it out on streaming, then I don't care. It's just me. It's usually me focusing on these brands I care about more. Magnificent Seven, I'll give them a round of applause for Quentin Tarantino's little bit of a western film, and just keeping it simple for the Magnificent Seven. I do not own the film.
Okay. Did you like it?
I haven't seen it.
Haven't seen. Okay.
I haven't seen it, but I don't own it. Even though it's a Lionsgate, it may be coming out with a steelbook very soon. But I'm just thinking in my head that some brands may not be the best smarter for me. That included Warner Brothers, by the way.
Right. Have you seen the original?
No, usually when it comes to original and remakes, I would go for the original first.
Hmm.
When it comes to random movies like this, I would just put it in my VCR and watch it for the first time and get my own inner thoughts if I want to check out the remake or the original more.
Okay.
But Footloose, because I watched both of them. And it's 50-50 for me for both Footloose original and remake. But they did really well for both adaptations.
Right, right. For the Magnificent Seven, I thought they were both pretty good. So if you're looking for another Western to watch, those are both pretty good. And I understand your feelings about Lionsgate. Um, eh, Also, they were both, or the original, really more so than the remake. The original also heavily inspired by uh, the Seven Samurai, Kurosawa. So I don't know if you've seen that or not, but that's also a really good movie. But just
Uh,
forewarning, it's a really long movie. All right, Adrian. I remember watching the Lone Ranger TV series as a kid. Yes, I watched that also. Adrian watched it religiously every day. Actually, when I was growing up, it was coming on every day in syndication. Are you familiar with the Lone Ranger?
my first time witnessing it was when Universal owned the rights to classic shows for DreamWorks, like the Lone Ranger TV series.
Hmm.
I started hearing about that, including He-Man and also She-Ra as well.
Yeah, I used to watch those too. He-Man and She-Ra were I watched those every day after school when I came home. That was being a latchkey kid and just nobody home when I got home, so I had to watch something. Huck is here. It's good to see you, fellas. What's going on, Huck?
Hmm.
And we got some people saying hi to him and back and forth. And Trini, I seen your letterbox score yesterday, and I was like, "Wait, is Dell a Western guy?" So yeah, we'll get to that. We'll get to that. And Smirk says, "I too need to watch more westerns. A few months back, I checked out Rustler's Rhapsody, and it was not bad. I'm not familiar with that one. Are you familiar with that one?"
Spoiler alert, I have the movie, but I have not seen it. Rustler's Rhapsody is like I bought that film during the pandemic, and Rustler's Rhapsody is a Paramount title when I got it. So I'm like, yeah, owning it into my collection. When am I gonna watch it? Very soon. Just haven't gotten the right time to get into that film yet.
Okay. Yeah, I'm not really familiar with that one. This, by the way, is the Lone Ranger DVD set of the first 8 episodes. I'm gonna go full screen for just a moment here, Grant.
All right.
So I found it. As you can see, I actually did find it for $1. I'm pretty sure it was Dollar Tree back when they were just $1. And this is a really, really thin case. And yeah, it's got the first 8 episodes of the Lone Ranger TV series. So, and I grew up watching it all the time. And so we got a lot of Western recommendations coming. Looks like The High Chaparral was another good one, says Adrian. Dimension is here. He says, "Hey guys, I'm jumping in. What's going on, Dimension? Right now, we're talking about the Sons of Katie Elder. Caveman is here. What's going on, Caveman?" He says, "Hey there, gang. Sorry I'm late." Now you're right on time. Love Lone Ranger, but hate that Kimosabi is considered a negative term. Understand? And that's a whole conversation we could have another time.
Yeah,
uh,
definitely.
yeah. Caveman saying hi to everyone. Adrian also watched Bonanza. I didn't watch as much Bonanza. I watched a little bit of Bonanza, a little bit of Gunsmoke, but not really much. But the Lone Ranger I watched all the time. And hey, Scott Caveman and Miss Caveman. So let's get back to this movie here. Are there any parts of the movie that we didn't touch on that you think we need to speak about before we move on?
Uh, let's see. There were a couple of scenes that the ending really got me good, and it was when after the gunman gets killed, or the main villain dies. We get to see John Wayne looking at one of the elderly family ladies, saying like, "Hey, how are the guys doing?" And two of them are still recovering from their gun wounds, shots, and fatality over one. The youngest lives. By the way, for those of you that have not seen it, they just like walk walk towards the sun, and there's like a little the end type of screen, and I'm like, happy ending, and it just fades to black, and I'm like, yeah, that's it for me. Other this movie is really good, and it's just my favorite John Wayne movie of all time for me.
Okay. All right. So I'm gonna go ahead and give my overall thoughts on the movie, and including how well I liked it or not. So for me, I did really enjoy this movie. Like I said, the relationship between the four brothers, the chemistry between those guys was really well done, really well written. John Wayne does the John Wayne thing, whether you like him or dislike him personally as a person in real life. If we set that aside and just go with the character in the movie, he does what he does always. Dean Martin was really fun, and we mentioned I think it was, now I lost her name already, but the young lady who played Mary Gordon, Martha Hyler. Sorry, I just had to look it up really quick. I
Right.
thought she was really good, and I thought her relationship with John Wayne is one of the things that grounded the movie. Um, the writing of the back and forth with the elder brothers and the bad guys, I thought it was a little bit choppy, a little bit iffy. It could have been a little stronger, but it's still really well done. Um, Not a big performance. Not a big fan of the performance of the guy who played the youngest brother. Like I said, he kind of overdid it and just he seemed like he was. It was almost like he was auditioning to be in the movie rather than actually just being a real person. So his performance was kind of weak. Um, but overall, when the story finally comes together, I do really enjoy this movie. And my letterbox score was mentioned. I did give it 4 stars on my letterbox, so I did really enjoy the Sons of Katie Elder. So great choice from Grant. So I absolutely enjoyed it. Anybody is who hasn't seen it, if you're into westerns, for sure, definitely see it. And if you're not and you're looking to get into westerns, this is not a bang bang shoot 'em up. There is some of that for sure, but this is a lot more drama for the length of the runtime. So I would definitely say to check it out.
And also,
All right, go ahead.
Dale is a 8.5 out of 10 for me. Really good storyline, casted excellent, and also the direction that I had with it was very well smooth for me. Very well smooth.
Yes, very done. Very well done. Excuse me. All right. And Caveman says, make sure to Will Smith that like button and make sure to sub to these two cool cats. Absolutely. Absolutely. Go ahead and follow Grant on IG. Follow each other out there in the chat because there are definitely some good content creators. At Caveman is in particular, I've been getting more into his channel as of late. Um, so he's got some really good stuff going on. So definitely check that out. And now let's go ahead and switch gears over to the other film. And I'm going to talk about my favorite Western of all time. And this one is, I'm going to go full for a minute. This one is Once Upon a Time in the West. Sergio Leone directed it. And he, if you're not familiar with the name, you probably should be. He's done a lot of great movies. He did the Man with No Name trilogy before this. Those were westerns starring Clint Eastwood as, a character whose name we don't really find out. And The Good, the Bad, the Ugly was mentioned in the chat. That was the last of those. This movie came after that. And this time we have Claudia Cardinal is the main character. But before we meet her, we actually meet her husband, whom she's just married, and she's not even they're not even living together yet. He has 2 kids, and right at the beginning of the movie, he and the children are gunned down by Frank, who's played by Henry Fonda as the bad guy, and she comes into town later on, and everybody's trying to get this land from her, figure out what is the use of this land. And also coming into town right at the beginning of the movie was a character played by Charles Bronson, and he we don't know really what he wants for at the beginning of the movie, other than at right as the movie starts, they're trying to gun him down. That's the first thing we know, and he takes care of those guys. Tense scenes ever, and then for the rest of the movie, people are trying to figure out what his deal is and if they have to kill him. And his, as far as we know, he's the harmonica. That's the character he's listed as. And there's also a character played by Jason Robards named Cheyenne. Cheyenne is another guy who we're not real sure early on if he's a good guy, bad guy, and things happen along the way where we eventually find out. So for you, this first time watch for you, and I saw the face you were making when we brought up the opening. How did you feel about the Henry Fonda showing up at the farm and wiping out the family there?
First off, I want to say to you, hey, I quit. This I'm not. I'm you guys. After you mentioned there was like a murder slaughter. Even the kid, even
Yes,
freaking kid,
yes.
he hated kids getting killed in films, but they put it off screen, which thank heaven. But when they show it at the aftermath, I'm like, why did Dell freaking put me through this? But But at the beginning, I did not know who was playing the manslaughter who did all those families, because I thought Henry Fonda. I thought it was like a really random guy from the good Western '70s that just randomly came in, and then Henry Fonda was like a separate character. But I'm like, I think I got the story when I got into the second half early, but I didn't completely understand it as well.
Okay.
But overall, Clint Eastwood in this villainous role, and he knew how to play a good villain. But
Henry Fonda. You said Clint Eastwood. It was Henry Fonda, but go ahead.
yeah, but Clint Eastwood. What? Why my stupid brain? But Eastwood, Clint Eastwood playing a villainous role. He knows how to play a villain, and does not want to have the kid killed on screen. So he's like, let's just put him faint about. Gun shoots him, and then we hear like a whistleblower from a train, and I'm like, oh, okay, this is like one way. Like, is he gonna live? Is he gonna die? Soon afterwards, I'm like, why did you put me through this? Why put me through this? And it was a very long movie, almost a 3 hour film. And
You're almost getting like 2:45, 2 hours 45 minutes, pretty long.
yeah, 2 hours and 56 minutes for the entire film alone. And I got the double video cassette of this one last year, and I wanted to check it out. And then you mentioned Movie Swap, and I'm like, okay, I might get into it. Most of the characters were really well done, really well done, especially the woman who played the family's like mother or somewhere down the line. Like, I'll get into more of how I feel about some scenes going forward, but it's just like, I have so many questions myself. I'm like, why did I watch this movie? Just for movie swap? But also, it was a really good movie. Very I'm gonna go on my Letterboxd and give it 5 out of 5, just in case. But it was like, it took me 2 weeks to get me through the second half, because I was watching other movies along with that as well.
Right. Okay. So the length of the movie, so that was an issue for you, a little too long.
Yeah, I got into the hour and 46. I stopped there, and then right before the 4th of July, I decided to finish it. From hour and 46 to 2 hours and 56. So that gave me like an hour and 30 to or an hour and 40 if you want to take it times two uh,
Okay.
for the movie.
Okay. Okay.
It
Um,
it was just too long for me, but I understand that it needed to be watched by the deadline, and I'm like, I'm gonna tell Dell that this is the worst movie that I've seen. No, 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 no. But it was also the toughest. It was only one critique that I only have with it. The rest was absolutely perfect.
okay. So let's talk about the train scene right at the very beginning of the movie, not the end. The at the train station, I should say, when Charles Bronson shows up and he's got three guys waiting on him. How'd you like that scene?
Very decent and very intelligent. It was like this was a first time for me. I was like, that could be something for me that I'm gonna watch. And then when I heard the harmonica dude, I'm like, did this guy actually came out of nowhere from just playing the harmonica? And then he started shooting him. Well, one shoot. Uh, the guy fades, and the other guy is like injured, but still lives. Gets on his horse, and just goes down to the bar, or what we call it, the country bar, in the Western times.
The saloon.
Yeah, the saloon.
Yep. All right, so let's. We got a few comments out here. I just did want to get to quickly. Trini says Rio Bravo is my favorite Wayne Western. Okay, so I'm gonna need to check it out at some point. Caveman saying hey to Trini, and Trini saying hey back. And there we go.
Oh my!
There we
I,
go. I love Henry Fonda and is the most evil villain in a Western. Mike Snow. Thanks for hanging out, Mike Snow. And he's just getting in. And Laren, I knew it. Once Upon a Time in the West is also in my top five. Top five Western for me too, says Mike Snow. Spicy 4K action is here. What's going on, Spicy? He says, Yo, Dell, what's up, man? And Caveman, sorry if it's not considered a Western, but have either of you ever seen Silverado trying to show Kevin Costner some positivity with his recent negative news? I'm not really sure what's going on with Kevin Costner. I haven't really heard anything, but I have not seen Silverado. If I did, I saw it like bits and pieces when I was a lot younger. So I've definitely not seen it in full. Have you seen Silverado, Grant?
Silverado was one of the, again, Warner Brothers that put it out. I haven't seen it, but once I get a time to go on the HBO Max series, or what we call it, Max now,
Right.
I will watch it down the line, depending on the mood. Like if I want to feel like Western, I'll just do Silverado right there.
Okay. And I'm gonna say this now in case I forget to later. Your recall for which studios did which films is amazing. I can't do that. This is definitely amazing. Spicy, definitely gonna watch the replay. Feel like I'm hella late. So yeah, we're talking about Once Upon a Time in the West now. Earlier we talked about the Sons of Katie Elder. Not sure if you're familiar with that one or not, Spicy. Hey, it's Cayenne Pepper Dude. And
Uh,
Trini likes Silverado. And Mike Snow says greatest any I never know how to say his name, Ennio Morricone or Morricone score ever. Let's talk about that score. Did you like the music or did you pay attention to it at all?
First and foremost, when I first time hearing that score, I was like, it's good. It's good. But I was like, do we need it on repeat? I'm like, when are we gonna get new music? But but it but to be honest, it kind of felt reminiscing of good Western movies, and that had a good one.
It did. Now I will say this, and the first couple times I watched this movie, I don't know why it didn't strike me, but it did this time. Whenever Jason Robards' character Cheyenne comes on the screen, he has a theme, and I know just listening to his theme, I'm 100% positive that George Lucas and John Williams saw this movie and were inspired by his theme. Because if you listen to it every time he comes up, it's a high pitch. Now, for my friends out in the chat, if you've seen, most of us have seen the Star Wars movies, so listen carefully. I'm not going to play it. I'm just going to kind of do my mouth here with it. But whenever he comes on the screen, it's a high pitch and it's bum bum ba, bum 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 ba, bum. And then if you drop the pitch to it, it's like, oh, whoa, that's Darth Vader showing up on the screen every time. And that was one of the things that threw me about Robards' character, why I couldn't figure if he was a good guy or bad guy, because that kept playing every time, and I couldn't unhear it this time. I just always heard it. So I don't know if you caught that or not.
I did not. But I knew that it was like kind of like a Western Star Wars to me, and I was like, did we just get a Western Star Wars in a Western movie? Like it felt that in my head and twist, and I'm like, it felt weird. It felt weird, but it was mostly very good as well.
Yeah, yeah. I'm trying to find it here really quick, but yeah, I will agree that the score did repeat, but I really did enjoy the theme song. So the different themes, because we had about three that they played a lot, and I'm gonna see if I can find. I think I can find it here. See if that's it. I'm trying to play something, guys. Here, just bear with me. Um,
As long as it doesn't avoid a copyright strike on your channel.
yeah, yeah, and I'm not going to play a bunch of it either. But I'll get back to it whenever we get that uh coming up. So go ahead. And what were some of your favorite scenes in the movie?
Uh, I'll give you the most expected one. Uh, the most expected scene for me, I was like, is she gonna die? Is she gonna die? And I'm like, she was calling the station. It was the girl that says call the station, and then she was like trying to look for her toy that she had when she was a kid.
Oh
And
yeah, yeah, yeah. We're talking about the opening again. Yeah.
OMG, it was on Paramount Plus as well. The station. Uh, he had the station toy in his hand. Clint Eastwood's character, and be like, "You looking for this?" And my mind was boggling. I was like, completely terrified after, and be like, is he gonna shoot her, or is he gonna be like, oh, let's do some kidnapping together. But after after uh after that scene, we will discuss about the romantic scene because that one got me too. And that
Yeah, romantic is a strong word for that. I don't know if it was romantic. But I did manage to pull this up. So guys, just take a quick listen. And again, you know what Darth Vader's theme sounds like. So just hear this beginning part. So that part right there, this time, like I said, it struck me. I was like, oh my goodness, that's Darth Vader, Vader's theme.
in
Um, go ahead, go ahead.
a Western theme.
Yes, in a Western style. And this movie came out about a little less than a decade before A New Hope came out.
16.
Um, yeah. So that struck me. But yeah, that opening scene was crazy. And now you said romantic scene, and I said that was a strong word for it, because it was really more like her trying to survive, trying to make sure that she wasn't killed. And how did you feel about that scene?
So So right before the guys were starting to build the station, this was like where we were like, when gotta get is she gonna get kidnapped? Uh, no, we see her in a black room with the white stuff with Clint Eastwood and the lady. And then then he starts taking off her clothes, and I was like, "What the f, man?" Like literally, uh, and they were just being like in bed, and even though that Clint Eastwood had pajamas on, but it it felt a little bit weird as well. And even though that Clint Eastwood's character starts to almost like nibble on her ear, and I was like, that would not be something that would be in modern times today. Just like a little nibble of the ear, like a bite on the ear. It kind
Mhm.
of like it had pierced to me in my own skin. Just to be clarified, and then the romance scene ends with a kiss, or should I say, making out, but without the mouth open. Uh, it felt weird. But I'm considering that as a romantic scene. Uh,
Mhm.
Instead of just calling it a, how do I call it, love kidnap, uh, as I would call it.
Yeah, they're definitely. I mean, they're obviously they're engaged in some activity there, but it's it's not a rape, but it's definitely not really what she really wants to do. Again, she's just trying to survive, and I for me, this is probably for Frank, who's the character in Henry Fonda, um, one of his most evil scenes because he knows why she's doing this and he's still doing it. And then the speech that he's giving while they're in bed, it's just all kinds of demeaning and pretty creepy. So for me, this is one of his most evil scenes, and he is really fantastic being evil and creepy all the way through the movie. Are
Yeah.
you from? Have you seen him in other things before?
No, I've seen bits and pieces of clips like Harry and what was another one? Dead. What was the one? Cry Macho.
Mhm.
Was another one from Clint Eastwood. And I think those two alone, I seen clips and pieces and be like, hey, I just want to check out this clip and let me see how well it plays out, and if it goes well, I'll see it. But this was the first time watch for me all the way through with Clint Eastwood's performance, and he did a really good job playing the villain in that film.
All right. Um, Hey Grant, no worries. Caveman saying, "Hey Grant, no worries." Clint Eastwood is now prime age to play Henry Fonda in a biopic. Yeah. LOL, please don't delete me. So
You're good.
that's funny. Spicy saying, "Ha ha." And harmonica spoiler, Grant. Yes, we've gotten there. Miss Caveman, never been a huge Western fan, but Open Range and Silverado are definitely a couple of my favorites. And the Mike says, "Yeah, the Imperial March is similar. Yeah, very much so. So, like I said, I couldn't unhear it." Uh, Miss Caveman then lets me know Kevin Costner is going through another divorce. Oh, I did hear that I guess, a few weeks back, and I didn't really pay much attention to it. Whenever celebrities get divorced, I don't really pay that much attention to it. Robards is kind of the Han Solo of this flick, says Mike. Yeah, yeah, that's a good way to put it. Have you seen Blazing Saddles? I have seen Blazing Saddles. I'm going to come back to that in just a second. So the ending twist about Harmonica's motives for revenge is great. I would definitely agree. Um, and we'll come back to that one, but let's go ahead for Blazing Saddles really quickly. Have you seen that one?
I know they did Paul Carey, The Legend of Hank, which was inspired by Blazing Saddles. one of the most racist movies I have heard about, and I will never be watching it because of the racial stereotypes back then. But it is rated R for me, so I won't be giving it a shot. It's just, how do I describe it? Blazing Saddles is Warner Brothers, by the way, for anyone that's listening. It it's not one of my favorite westerns at all, but I hear like I've been watching reactors watching this film, and I saw bits and clips from it. And I don't mind spoilers from those movies, but when it comes to a Paramount movie or a DreamWorks movies, I have to see
Right.
type.
So for in defense of Blazing Saddles, because I have seen Blazing Saddles, it uses stereotypes to kind of make fun of racists. So I in that sense, it's not a racist movie, but the way they do it, a lot of people today wouldn't really vibe with. So I get it, but yeah, it's so I don't think it's racist. It just uses a lot of stereotypes to poke fun at and make and point out racism. Um, as far as let's get back to K-Man telling me most recently Costner walked out and or had a feud and left Yellowstone. I didn't know that either. Um, so coming back to Mike Snow, the ending twist about Harmonica's motives for revenge is great. So what did you think about that?
So the second half, which I watched the entire thing over the 3rd of July,
Okay.
uh, and that was when the romantic scene ends, and we find out most more about Clint Eastwood's character. And I was like, and my connecting the puzzle pieces aren't really well with every single characters of why are they here in the first place. But one thing that did click with me is that he was the guy that killed most of the families, and I was like, oh, it's PG. I'm just gonna say shoot for that one. Yeah, it's PG. I don't wanna swear on this one. So uh so uh when I say and he pulls this harmonica out of his chest uh and gives this to, I'm gonna start calling him the Indian dude instead of just calling him the harmonica guy, because Clint Eastwood's character just gives him the harmonica and he's like, "Go on, make your brother happy." And he starts playing it, and then he shoots his brother, and I just felt so his act of revenge is the same way he did to him years ago, and if someone did a villain defeat over this one, I would highly recommend you do that. But no, but uh, but don't do it of over red strikes or anything like that. But it is perfect. It is mind settling, and it's also very well done in my own eyes. And I just can't say how well this character really played out, and who knows, I might be seeing
Okay.
not,
So
not next week because I got so much stuff to do. But
okay.
the only thing is, I'd rather watch this on my own time instead of just watching it uh, uh, all in one for 3 hours.
Mhm.
Story, I would just settle it into two parts and go from there.
Okay. Okay. Um, well, we talked about Jason Robards' character a little bit, Cheyenne, who was the other guy who we just talked about with the music. Um, did you? How soon were you able to catch on to that guy? Because, like I said, for a long time we weren't really sure what he was. If he was a good guy, bad guy, what was going on with him, why it was there. What did you think of him?
I found that out the hard way. Completely on the second part, because I thought he was like the main villain of this movie, but what's a character that made it most intriguing. He was like trying to try to help out characters. For me, in my own opinion, so like a simple, straight up guy and the harmonica guy are the good guys, and the lady as well.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but as the villain, and plus other sideman characters in the beginning or in the end, um, complete out straight up bad guys. For me, in my own opinion.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
so what's interesting, that he loves coffee. And
Yeah. Yeah.
he, he he's like, "Did you make coffee?" And he's like, and the girl's like in the first one, the first scene, when he mentioned coffee is like, "No, why you ask?"
Yeah.
He
Yeah.
asked,
He's got a few speeches about coffee in the movie, so that's for sure.
and then the second half, he's like, "Did you make coffee?" And it's like, "Yep, freshly brewed."
Yep. Yep. He was definitely a fan of coffee. All right. Caveman's Blazing Saddles, 2 words, more beans. There's a very famous scene revolving around beans in Blazing Saddles. Uh Caveman says spoiler, sorry, not sorry. Grant, try to find a TV version of Blazing Saddles, definitely worth it. Um, that would be interesting to find a TV version, see what they actually cut.
I I actually want to mention Paws of Fury: The Legend of Hank is also a rip off of Blazing Saddles. To be fair, and
Okay.
and that came out last year as well. To be fair, and it's like a type of ninja type of, like Samuel L. Jackson is like a cat, and the other one's like a dog. It's like a cat and fight battle on the Wild West. Huh.
Okay. I'm not familiar with that one. I'm gonna have to check that one out. Tiana is here. She says, "Hey everyone, what's going on, Tiana?" And she says, "Hey to you, Grant."
Howdy ho.
Yep, got his hat back on, saying howdy. And Caveman saying hi to Tiana. And we got some hot back and forths. And here, Mike kind of goes with my point. He's Blazing Saddles isn't racist. It parodies classic Hollywood racism in westerns and the racism of white people at that time. So yeah, I'm in agreement with you, Mike. That is the case with Blazing Saddles. Is just the way they did it was kind of in your face, so that would might be a bit of a turnoff to some people. Hi there, Tiana Adrian saying hi. Uh, Again, we got some more. Everybody's welcoming Tiana in, and Tiana is responding to them. So very cool. All right, so there was another. I don't know if you call him a bad guy, but he was the guy who Frank was working for, the guy who was on the train all the time, that was sitting in the wheelchair. What did you think of that character?
I put him in the bad guy category,
Right.
uh, because he was like clearly working for him, and he wasn't used mostly throughout the film. He was like a side character for a villain. And when I saw like Clint Eastwood's character just kicks him out of his, what are those, like one of those, like trying to, oh, sidebars. We call them sidebars.
Mm-hmm.
Like takes him off his sidebars and be like falling down, and he's like, and I was like, oh, he's about to be screwed. The entire time. And then in the second half, when I watched it, he completely he wasn't like villain per se, but he was like part of the bad guy's scheme. Or
Mm-hmm.
but after Clint Eastwood checked, he knew dead well that he was gonna be dead. So he was like walking to get some, or should I say, limping, for a cup of water, and then he's like dies in the water. I would say a little bit of a lake. To be fair, because
Mhm.
a little small lake, and he just put his head on the water, and I was like, that was a very satisfying death compared to. I don't want to get into other villain deaths that I've seen in my, but besides Raiders of the Lost Ark being the best one, and the other ones, I was like, yeah, they're all. Uh, but the Sky Lake one, that was like the most least villain death out of my own.
Got you. I got you. Interesting. You mentioned Raiders of the Lost Ark because Caveman said, "Love the Indiana Jones hat, Grant." So, and Caveman emoji is broken wind. He's talking about that bean scene in Blazing Saddles. And my man, 4K D Ray is here. What's going on, D Ray? He says, Grant.
uh,
And people saying what's going on. Playing people saying what's up to D Ray. All right. Um, any other thing about the movie that you wanted to talk about that we didn't touch on?
so basically, this is spoilers for anyone that has not seen most of the movie yet. My favorite is when the harmonica dude like checks every single window in Clint Eastwood's like doing thing for every single one. They were just like walking. Harmonica dude bangs the door, like barges the door, and there was a woman taking a bath, and I was like, dude, that should have been cut. But it had to be shown in times like these. But thankfully, show her, tits. That Severin would always do, or Vinegar Syndrome. Anyway, involves the chest. Please get me out of there, please. But he like looks at every window, and the girl's like, you're actually satisfied with windows. When are you going to see another guy coming up? And the harmonica guy goes, right now, and he shoots the guy.
Right. Right.
Lately, he's like two guys like coming around towards him. He's like, bang, the other guy, bang, and he's like, you didn't kill him. It was like he had to live because not only one guy survived, and he just left the room. And like I can say a lot of things in 1 second, but that's a few things my own way of saying like the best part is saying right now is like a moment. Be like, oh, you're screwed. Be like, bang, bang. it, it is such a good scene, and also I think the ending as well for yeah yeah the harmonica dude got his revenge. Gives him the harmonica back. So I just call it the Indian boy for a reason. But no offense to anyone that I call him Indian boy for a reason. But he did his job. And the guy was drinking some coffee, even though that I'm gonna talk about coffee in a little bit. No, I'm kidding. I'm not doing coffee. But yeah, he goes out and goes into the sunset, while the other guy he's like, yeah, I could better going on too. And surprisingly, the guy with the beard actually dies. Like unexpectedly, that I thought he was gonna live throughout the entire time, helping the woman that wants to build the station. Sadly, does not get the chance. He got shot, and the Indian boy takes the guy with the beard's horse and goes off to the sunset. And the girl was selling drinks to all the customers that were building on the road. And that's where it ends from there. But
All
what's
right.
like
So,
the
all right.
villain
Go ahead. Go ahead.
the villain death was the best thing out of all. The guy, I was like, you gotta let the guy with the beard live. That lady was counting on him, but unfortunately, that does not end very well with the guy with the beard. So
Okay.
so I'm sorry for anyone that I spoiled to. You hopefully you get to see my own opinions afterwards. So
All right, so yeah, we'll get to your full opinion in just a moment. Just for anybody who's came in a little bit late, yes, we talked about the Sons of Katie Elder a little bit earlier. We're talking about Once Upon a Time in the West now, so it's Western night here on Movie Swap. Um, and as far as Grant in particular, if you've heard him talking about a couple of the scenes, Grant is very much more into PG rated movies and definitely family oriented movies. This movie is there are some risque scenes. There's no actual nudity, but there are some risque scenes, and there are some scenes that are kind of tough to take if you're leaning heavily into family films. That said, it is a western, and it is one of my favorites. Do have a couple of comments here. Mike Snow, I like when Morton pays Frank's guys to kill him by dealing them money instead of cards. And Charles Bronson had a great line about that later on in the movie. Uh, Caveman saying some highs to some people he had missed. And Grant, no worries. The harmonica mafia will never find you. LOL.
that's high for me right there.
Yeah.
But
And yeah, D-Ray says I was lost on what movie. So thank you. Yes, no problem. No problem. Just want to make sure everybody was up to speed. And D-Ray then saying hi to Adrian. All right. So let's go ahead and get ready to wrap it up. Give me your overall thoughts on Once Upon a Time in the West, including how much you liked it or didn't like it.
first off, I didn't hate it. To be uh, most of my collection, you see shelves are G, PG, and PG-13 type related movies.
Mm-hmm.
This fits into the PG-13 category.
Mm-hmm.
Very well made movie. The cast was excellent throughout the beginning and end, even though that I had to split it into two parts uh, for the extra 2 weeks because I was like, there's no way I'm not going to finish it. Week later, I was watching another movie and then I saw the deadline. I was like, crap, I gotta have to finish it on 4th of July. But even though I love every scene, and also the music scores were actually excellent. And what do I give this movie? 5 out of 5 for me, and actually a 9.8 out of 10 for best Western movie of all time for me.
Oh yeah, great. It is my favorite Western, so I'm very happy to hear that. Very pleased that you did enjoy this movie.
Even
All right.
though one thing that I rather should have not take is let the kid live. Let the in the beginning. Do not kill the kid. That if the kid did not get killed.
So that knocks it from 10 to 9.8. I understand. No problem. No problem at all. No problem at all. All right. We got a couple of things down. We have one more down in the chat here. Mike Snowshine died in a fight with the Morton character off camera. He well,
Then,
sort of off camera. He gives a nice speech before that, so about him dying. So I definitely understand that. So Grant, so thank you for coming on tonight. I'm gonna let you have the stage for a minute. You can tell people anything you want to tell them about where to find you or what you have coming up or anything like that. Where to follow you? Go for it, sir.
all right, Dell, thank you for having me on. And I'm actually glad that you actually brought up this Sons of Kitty Elder that you let me to pick up right before we went live. But all right, to be fair, yeah, I'm on Instagram, MovieBuffGrant with a underscore. Uh, I have something coming up called the Moviegoers Live Show with Luke Ponto. That will be coming up on Wednesday night, so that we can fulfill what movies we have been watching for the past month, I believe. That will lead right up to Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. This is not an Indiana Jones hat. This is not hat. But also, if you Mika Mika that mentioned what is it? Mika that wanted to recommend Western movies. I'll give you a few from my own collection that you should definitely check out. But other than that, follow me on Instagram and also follow me on my letterbox as well.
All right. So, what's your is your letterbox also movie buff Grant with an underscore or no?
Yeah, it's still MovieBuffGrant underscore. I also did check out one of the toughest movies of the year, Sounds of Freedom, which first off, a time watch for me, honestly, because it was a tough subject, and the others were just watches that I've seen over the past 23 years now that I'm remembering off my head of which movies I've seen and which movies that I have not seen yet. So
Okay. I've been hearing about Sound of Freedom, so I need to check that one out myself. I've heard it is a tough watch though, so I will brace myself before I watch it. Um,
compare it
just go ahead.
compare it to Taken. Uh,
Okay.
just to say that, but it takes it to another level for that one.
Oh, okay. Interesting. So I'm looking forward to it. All right. A few more comments in the chat before we do get out of here. Caveman says, great recommendations always from you and your guests, as always, Dell. Thank you, Caveman. Mike agrees. 5 out of 5. Trini, love the pew pew love. Pew 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 pew. And Laren, thanks, Dell and Grant. Have a great night, everyone. Absolutely. You too, Laren. And Mika, thanks. I'll be looking forward to recommendations, Grant. So while we're here on air, I would say Sergio Leone, same director as Once Upon a Time in the West, The Man with No Name trilogy, which has Clint Eastwood. Those early good. Then there is the Magnificent Seven, the original ones. 310 to Yuma, and there's even a modern remake of 310 to Yuma with Russell Crowe. That's pretty good. And the remake of Magnificent Seven has Denzel Washington. That's pretty good. That's also fun. Young Guns from the 90s, really good stuff. Young Guns and Young Guns 2. There's lots out there, and I'm sure Men Who Shot Liberty Valance, another John Wayne. So I'm sure Grant will have some more for you on IG.
Yeah, I will.
All right. And Trini later was all right. Later, Trini. Have a good night. For me, guys, on this channel on Wednesday night, myself, I will be actually not on this channel. I'll actually be on Nathan Jones' channel. We'll be chit chatting over there. And then next week, we'll be back on Movie Swap again on Monday. I will have Dave from the 4K Lowdown will be here on Monday. And then on Thursday, we're doing a home and away. So I'm gonna go on his channel on Thursday night, the 20th, and we'll be doing High Five, where I have 5 of my favorite movies. Him, I, and Turner Fan 77 are gonna go ahead and rank those movies and grade them out, and so that should be a lot of fun. But that's all I have for you guys. We got some more goodbyes here. Thank you guys for joining us, and I hope to see you back here next week.